Hi folks, it's David Oestreicher here in Carmiel. It's the 25th of May. We've just finished Shavuot, and we're now at Parsha Naso, the Parsha of the princes of each tribe who brought their gifts to the temple upon its completion. Naso is the longest Parsha in the Torah, and it contains a description of what each of the princes of each tribe brought, and strangely enough, it's exactly the same for each one. But each one was imbued with the kavana, the ideas, the concepts of the individual tribe. But I don't want to be focused on that portion of the Parsha this week. In this week's Parsha is perhaps the most famous prayer that is derived from the Torah and finds itself not only in Jewish worship but also in Christian worship as well. It's the three-part prayer, the priestly blessing, given by the Kohanim to the people of Israel, given by God through the Kohanim is more accurate, to the people of Israel. It's a beautiful prayer, and in terms of its history is probably the most ancient of our pieces of Torah that have been used as a way of relating to God. It is the prayer that parents, fathers give their children on Friday night. It is the prayer, a longer version, that we give our children Erev Yom Kippur. Often brides and grooms are blessed with this prayer under the chuppah, under the wedding canopy. It's especially moving in some ways in its simplicity. What I'm going to tell you, the parsha that I'm going to talk about in the interpretation of it, I want to credit with Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, the former chief rabbi of Great Britain. It is from his covenant and conversation of 2 years ago. And he has a beautiful take on it, which I want to share with you. It's particularly meaningful to me, and it's the reason I'm talking about it, is because yesterday, Thursday, my son, Moshe Yitzchak, left Israel to return to Canada, to Toronto. We will miss him dearly, and it was a wonderful visit. But the last thing he really did before leaving our home was we davened together the morning prayer with the shul on our street. In Israel, outside of Israel, this prayer is reserved only for only for Jewish holidays. But here in Israel, in the Holy Land, the Kohanim bless the community every day. Sometimes twice in a day. And the procedure that they go through is after the silent prayer is said, the Amidah, 18 blessings, then during the repetition, at some point after Kedusha, the Kohanim and the Leviim leave the shul and they go to a place where the Leviim wash the hands of the Kohanim. And indeed, that's exactly what we're a Levite family, and that's exactly what Moshe did yesterday morning. He washed the hands of the Kohen in our shul, and then received the blessings along with everybody else, and then packed up and rushed off to catch the train to the airport, to the plane. And it was very touching because the blessing is associated with fathers covering their sons in their talis. Now that Moshe is a good 4 inches taller than his father, I have to reach up to cover him. It used to be that he would stand on a chair at one time. So it was a very touching moment for both of us. But I want to come back to the essence of this prayer and the significance of it. The English translation for it is well known to virtually all Jews and most Christians. And it comes from this week's Parsha, Numbers 6:23 to 27. The Lord said to Moshe, "Tell Aaron and his sons, thus shall you bless the Israelites. Say to them, may the Lord bless you and protect you." Some say, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. And let them say my name on the Israelites, and I will bless them. So God is instructing the Kohanim how he will use them to bless the Israelites. In 1979, Rav Saxberite said, in 1979, Gabriel Barkay was examining an ancient burial caves in Katif Hinomim, just outside the walls of Yerushalayim, in an area now occupied by the Menachem Begin Heritage Center. A 13-year-old boy discovered a hidden cave, a chamber in the cave. And in the cave they found some roughly 1,000 pieces of Judaica dating from very far back. Among them were 2 silver scrolls, tiny silver scrolls, roughly about an inch big. And those scrolls, it turned out, were amulets aimed at bringing somebody closer to God and bringing him good news, so to speak, for health, for whatever. Amulets. And what was in them, among other things, was this blessing. The amulets were dated back, scientifically, dated back to around 600 BC, at the time of Jeremiah, when the first temple stood in Yerushalayim. So, if anybody has any doubts about the Jewish connection to Jerusalem, there it is in silver. This very blessing from the Torah itself. It's the oldest text that we have, roughly 400 years older than the Dead Sea Scrolls. The name of God that is used is the 4-letter, some people call it the Tetragrammaton, not the name Elohim. Elohim is the God we associate with natural events, sometimes disasters, hurricanes, typhoons, etc., and sometimes with rain in its time and a good harvest and all those other things. I am in my backyard, so you're probably hearing my neighbors getting ready for Shabbos. But here, the blessing, the name of God that is used is the name Hashem, the 4-letter name of God, which is associated both with past, present, and future, the infinite quality of God, and also for the very personal relationship with God that we Jews associate with our relationship. Rabbi Sachs tells a story. It's a beautiful story in relationship to this bracha, this blessing. He says there was once a gathering of the town on a high hill looking towards the sea to watch a passing ship leaving the harbor going out to sea. This was not abnormal in ancient times. It was a very perilous time. And among the people in the crowd waving to the ship, or at least observing the ship and blessing the ship and the passengers, was a little boy, and he was waving very dramatically. And somebody said to him, "Why are you waving?" And he said, I'm waving because I want the captain of the ship to see me. And the person said, but you're a little boy. The ship is far away. What makes you think that the captain will notice you? And he said, well, the captain is my father. And he's looking for me to wave to him. This is the nature of our relationship with God. God is looking for that wave from us little people. And that wave is part of this blessing. Let me read it one more time. It's worth noting, and you'll see how personal it is. May the Lord bless you and protect you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Good Shabbos. Be well. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat of peace. David Oestreicher here in Carmiel, wishing you well.